So today we're going to look at Flickr Advanced. Now, Flickr Advanced is the next product in the Flickr Core product line after Flickr Basic. Now, it doesn't mean that Flickr Basic is bad. What it basically means is that Flickr Advanced offers more features compared to Flickr Basic. In fact, if this means anything, Flickr Advanced was built based on the core of Flickr Basic. So yeah, Flickr Advanced, it promotes something else. It highlights a few other things compared to Flickr Basic. Okay, and the main thing, the key word would be risk management. Okay, so Flickr Advanced was built with risk management in mind. Okay, now Flickr Advanced is also using the moving average, indicator. Oh yeah, talking of which, when you choose an EA or when you decide to buy or jump into using an EA, one of the first questions that you should ask, other than the price or the support, would be the system the EA is running on or the system the EA is based on. Now, whether it is trend based or not, because it is found that majority of winning trades or positions start with having the right positions. Okay, so if you start running a setting that doesn't like place positions or push for orders correctly, then there is a very high chance that you'll be losing money because it started at a loss in the first place. So it's very important to know whether that EA that you're gonna buy, I mean, if you're not gonna use Flickr, I hope this will give you a very good handle as you go and search for the right EA that would best suit your needs. Right. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to you so that don't repeat the same mistakes like many others have already made out there, but rather to stay focused and to really know what you are paying for. Because if you do not know how the product works and you're just looking at pictures to show you that the product can do this, can do this, can do this, it is all like very gimmicky. It's like things shown to you to make you believe, but then you do not know how it really works. So then when you do not know how it really works, then you might not have the the knowledge or even the know-how to make it better, to find the right settings for that matter, because you don't know how it functions in the first place. So yeah, so Flickr is trend based. Okay, there's a fundamental point that I want to make is that it is trend based. Whether it is following, whether it's sticking to it, whether it is trading against it, it is still trend based. And there are many options that you can choose on Flickr, whether you want to honor the trend or you want to ignore it. Okay, there are things to do in order to to play around with different strategies for that matter. So yeah, among some of the new features that are being introduced in Flickr Advanced would be the daily quota. Now sometimes you don't want to over trade, so that if let's say that particular day you're only targeting like $500 and you have profited in like $500 from your trades, you can actually stop trading so that you not enter into those more volatile trading sessions like London and New York. Okay, and further expose yourself to more risk. Okay, and then we have capital protect as well. Now some people trade, or there are some traders who are not ready to lose money. Maybe it's not so right to coin it that way. Let me rephrase it. I believe every trader should only trade what they are prepared to lose. Yeah, prepared to lose. Because if you enter into the world of trading and thinking that it guarantees you profit or returns of a certain percentage, then your expectations are wrong, and it is not very sound for that matter. So do not trade what you do not have either. Someone asked me before, that if want to start trading, should he borrow money from the mother and then start trading, that kind of thing. Don't. If you need to borrow money from someone else in order to trade, don't, because it's not yours in the first place, and there's a very high chance of you losing money because, look, if you have no experience with trading or with forex for the matter, or even with EAs for the matter, there's a very high chance that you will fail. I mean, it's like taking an exam, going to school, studying, taking an exam. If you do not know the answers to the questions in your exam paper, you will get bad results, right? You will fail for that matter. So it's the same concept. So if you do not know much and then you want to jump straight into it, then please don't, okay? Because most likely you'll be losing money, okay? And capital protect. So what this do what this does is that let's say if you are planning to invest 10,000 US dollars and you do not want the EA to to lose more than that capital, as in you do not want your losses eat into your capital. Well, capital protect could help you to do that once you are already on profit of a certain margin, so that it will always try its best to keep your capital intact, so that you will not burn your account or margin call for that matter. Okay, and then last but not least, Flickr Advanced also promotes drawdown reduction. Okay, so there are things that are being introduced in Flickr Advanced, order patterns as well, which helps you to control your or manage your drawdowns better. Okay, so let's jump straight into the terminal. Now I'm using MT4 as a reference. Flickr is available on both MT4 and MT5 platforms in general, but I'm using this because I'm using it. Okay, so yeah, now I'm gonna use the strategy tester to show you Flickr advanced features. Okay, so let's choose advanced, expert properties. Okay, now when you get a copy of Flickr Advanced, okay, there are two things that you really need to check. Okay, double check, so that it won't go into trading or and making some kind of glitches here and there, and you suffer losses from it. Okay, please double check on this. The first thing you need to check on would be where is it? Time frame filter. Yeah, time frame filter. Change this to follow if it's not already on follow. Okay, so yeah, please make sure that this is on follow, and then overlap orders. Okay, set it to false. Now, Flickr has also the option to allow you to open more than one positions on top of one another. Okay, that is what you call as overlapping orders. Now, if you do not want your orders to overlap, okay, set this to false. Okay, and if you do want them to overlap, okay, just change it to true. Simple as that. But if you want to set it to false, you can have two parameters to help you further tighten your settings, as in now the idea is this. Let's say you open a position A, but it's going into loss, and position B is being opened. Now, in order to cover for position A, what happens is that you need to retrace a certain amount of distance. Now, if you do not want it to retrace so much in before the next position opens, you can actually change the range value. Okay, range value basically means that within that high and low of that next position, or no, within the high and low of that position that's already there, the new positions will not eat into that zone. So that means that current position will have like a buffer area, a zone whereby it's like a fence. You don't come in it, that kind of thing, so that it would not be too close whereby it would build into your drawdowns for the matter. So what I'll normally do is this is that there's a reason why I put this in, okay? And then if you spend more time toying with the settings, you would know why it is in the first place, okay? Basically, it helps with recovery. Now, if you do not want to make any mistakes in this, or if you want to safeguard yourself from any glitches or errors, you can just set the range value to the same value you set for distance. So if distance is 300 for that matter, let's just reset it, okay? Reset it. Okay. So if distance is 300, your range value should be 300 as well, okay? So if you set these two figures or these two parameters using the same value, you shouldn't be making any kind of mistakes, okay? Now, what is new, okay? One of the new things in advanced would be the order patterns, okay, which I've briefly talked about earlier. Now, in basic, it is only called inverse or true or false, that kind of thing. Inverse pattern, yeah, inverse order, yes. You're not mistaken. In basic, it is called inverse orders, and then you can only choose true or false, okay? But in advanced and the future flickers as well, I've changed this to be more robust, okay, so that you have more options to play with. So I've changed this to order pattern, and you can choose from this list, okay? There are 4 order patterns that you can choose from. Now, if you're following the trend, okay, so what same does is that the order pattern will follow the same order type of the first position. Meaning that if your first position is a buy, the second, the third, the fourth, fifth, and so on and so forth will be a buy as well. So same thing if it's a sell, all of it will be sell as well. Okay. Now, trend normal is a little bit different, because what happens is you do know that Flickr, is trend based and is using the moving average, and then moving average, there's a line, there's a trend line on your chart. Now sometimes the market, the bars, they go below that line, sometimes they go back above the line, that kind of thing. So when it does that, Flickr is able to change the position type. Okay, so let's say you're following the trend. Okay, if you choose trend normal, so if it's below the red line, so you sell. If it's above, you buy. Okay, but what happens if that? What if as the market went on and as you continue trading, and then it started to go bearish and you have positions open from before. Okay, so your new positions, once it crosses that trend line, will change to a sell if you are using trend normal. Okay, and if you are using trend inverse, it does the opposite of trend normal. So instead of starting according with the trend, you start opposite of the trend. Okay, and same goes when when it crosses the trend line, and then the orders will be flipped as well. Now, one of the order patterns that I love to use the most would be adaptive. Okay, adaptive. What it means is that Flickr will learn. Well, Flickr is being programmed to learn. Okay, how your positions are doing. Okay, so if you use adaptive, what happens is that if your last position that was opened in the basket, if it's in a loss, if you are using adaptive order pattern, your next position will be the opposite of the losing position. Okay, for example, the last position of the basket is a sell and is losing, so the next position would be a buy. Okay, so that it will look at how to say, it will follow the candles for that matter, because I mean, logical thinking, if your last position in the basket is losing money, that means it's going down south, it's not doing any good. Okay, so what adaptive does is that instead of continue of going on to opening more positions on the the losing pattern, so you switch it. Okay, and the same goes for, let's say if the last position is a sell and it is in profit, with adaptive it will open another position of sell as well, so that you will get to hit your target profit much faster. Kind of cool, right, the idea? So I have this here as well in Flickr Advanced. Now there are pros and cons to each order pattern that that you choose to use from the list here. Okay, and they are not to be used as its own or by its own. You should use it complementing with the other recovery methods that are listed below as well. Okay, so yeah, this is it. Okay, overlap orders, we have covered it. Range, we've done it. Okay, distance multiplier, max lot size. Now I have covered briefly how to find a setting for yourself in the Flickr basic video. So if you have not watched it, I'll encourage you to just take some time to just go through it, and I hope that it will give you value content. Okay, because I talk about how to look onto an instrument, how to look at the chart, how to look at certain patterns, how you find the distance. Okay, because it is very important to have the right distance, because if your distance are set to an optimum, a good number, okay, your recovery will come in much faster too, okay, compared to one that is not optimized for that pair you're trading on. Okay, and I talked briefly about that. I also talk about take profit. Okay, they are the same. Okay, now you see new features here. Okay, now I've included the handbook as well. Now when you buy any Flickr, except for the expansion ones, you will be given a handbook as well, and the handbook will give you, it's a documentation of how to go about with settings. What do they do? Because some of these words, I coined them, I understand them, but you may not. Okay, that kind of thing. So please run through the handbook and then try to grab or try to digest as much as you can before you jump into using the Flickr that you have bought or just rented for that matter. Okay, now I really love this feature, Opportunist. Okay, now Opportunist is a very good feature when market is consolidating, or even when market is moving. Okay, like the Abel, market is always moving, but see if you can understand this if I explain it this way. Okay, now sometimes we do not get the maximum profit from our trades. Okay, how so? It is because what happens is, let's say you have 3 positions open. Okay, and the last position before retracement happens would normally go back and forth the same line, and there are profits there to be harvested as well. You get what I'm saying? Okay, let's say there are three how should we just do? Oh dear. Okay, I've not thought of this, how to show it to you, like Opportunist. But there is also another video that I made on this, whereby I label it as Consolidation. Okay, I'll also put the link in the YouTube description box down below. Check it out as well. From that video you should be able to understand what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that before it goes full on reversal, you will also be able to harvest those profits from that position. Okay, that target. Okay, so what's now you can choose. Okay, whether it's based the value of it, whether is it on the first position, dollar value of the opportune position, or the percentage of the account size. Okay, you can choose that, and then you set the value here. Okay, which position does okay, opportunist kick in. Okay, so it's the third position if you set to this. Okay, and if you do not want it to be like, closing positions, once it reaches that, like, in a haze, you want to wait it out and see whether it is really retracing or whether it is like, hanging there. So you might want to set this value to one that's higher. Okay, opportune wait, it is measured in seconds, so 30 is 30 seconds. And how many times you repeat this motion per session? So normally I would advise like 2 to 3. Don't go more than 3, because if you analyze charts, or if you were to trade and then you monitor your charts closely, how your EA is performing, you'll be able to see that most of the time you only go like 2 to 3 times and nothing more than that. So if you go more than that, you're exposing yourself to risk, because once you close up the position that is the key position to help you to recover your losing positions, then that's it. Okay, because you have just kicked out your Lucy said savior. Okay, so yeah, be careful of this, but it has a very high potential, and I put this in because I see the value in it, and I've done it on manual before, and it has helped me to gain more profits than just to let the EA run by itself. So I've put it in here as well. Now, drawdown reduction is, let's say you have, if you said this is true, so what happens if, let's say you have 6 position. Now, what it will do is, it will close the 6th position with the first position, okay, in profit. Okay, so the percentage here is 5%. Okay, so it will take that 5% profit and close it with the hope of reducing drawdown, because your first position will have built up some drawdown, and your 6th position, if it's not able to recover that soon, you get what I'm saying? So you build up more drawdown, that kind of thing. Having said, this drawdown reduction feature is the same like Opportunist, as in the risk factor. So if you use it, please test it on a trial or demo account first, or backtester, so that you understand how it works and see whether it will work in your favor. Okay, now the next one is compromise. Now compromise does this, let's say you can only afford to lose a certain amount of money. Let's say you're trading with 10,000 and you can only afford to lose 1,000. Okay, so what you can do is, on compromise there, you set it to okay, which option you want, and then you only trigger at which position. Okay, normally your drawdown builds up at a certain position. Okay, so you set it to start at which position, okay, and then how much you are willing to compromise. Okay, and after you lose that amount of money, let's say you can only afford to lose 1,000. After you have lost 1,000 because of compromise, because somehow the market was raging, or there's a very huge or strong trend going on, and then the EA couldn't cope, or the settings couldn't cope with, the settings that you put in couldn't cope with, the recovery of it. Actually, it's not the EA's fault, it's always the settings. So the features are there, and if your settings are not able to make the EA recover your losing positions quickly, it has to be your settings problem. So yeah, please work on that. So it's not the EA. Yeah, I never believe that it's the EA's fault. Okay, yes, EA may be limited due to the features that it offers. Okay, but then it is ultimately the settings that the user punch in that governs how it works and how it recovers, and so on and so forth. Okay, so compressed value, and then let's say you have already lost 1,000, so pause. Okay, the the EA or flicker will stop trading for 10 seconds. This is in seconds, okay? Now, preserve capital. I've mentioned this briefly before at the beginning. So yeah, it helps to protect your capital. So what you do is you enable it to true, and then you define what capital you started with, and then how much of the profit you have gained so far. Okay, how much you want to keep it. Okay, and then same goes to after it suffer a loss, that kind of thing, then how long would it pause for? Okay. Hibernation. Hibernation is stop trading. Yeah, stop trading. Okay, so hibernation is once you have met that quota, your profit quota for the day. So if you said this is true, it will stop trading until the next day when the market opens again. Okay, so dollar value, let's say you target only 500 US dollars for every day. Okay, so once it has reached 500 US dollars, then it'll stop trading. Easy as that. Okay, now session filters are also there, so yeah, you can make use of this as well. So if you realize what I've been talking about for the past half an hour or so, I've been focused on primarily the risk management risk management features that you can utilize in Flickr Advanced to help you to trade better. So yeah, I hope this has given you a better idea on how you could play with creative settings even with just Flickr Advanced, and then you'll be able to see, I hope, the value in having all these features and how some of it work in tandem with one another, and how some of it are meant to work alone or best work alone. Some of these features you don't need to use all of them. I mean, like, yeah, don't be greedy. I mean, use what you just need, that kind of thing. Okay, it's based on strategy after all, right? So yeah, I guess that's it. Okay, the rest of it I've covered in Flickr Basic, so do check the video out. Thank you for watching. See ya.